everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I have a fun, awesome guest today that is really going to hone in for us what we need to be learning and paying attention to in our world. And it's really fun how we met and connected very quickly, which is how I really think God works with awesome, dynamic women who want to know all the things and be with the people with similar energy and love for people. So it's been a really special connection for myself. I'd like to introduce Kelsey today to our awesome platform here. And what you are going to take away is a feeling of what can you do? And so I just want you to remember that as you're listening to Kelsey pour out her heart about her organization is how can we help? And you know that I'm really big on the word, I call it 1%, Kelsey. I tell everybody, guys, just 1% it. How can you 1% whatever your big dream is? Even if the big dream is kind of small and you don't want to admit it, you can just 1% it. You can just write one sentence for the book. You can just not eat the cupcake. You can just go for one walk for 1 minute for one block. You can always just 1% whatever the dream is. So today I want you to ask that question when we get done here, everybody, is how can I 1% what Kelsey is leading us to do? And then I also want you to ask yourself, and what would 100% look like, so that we can just challenge ourselves. So welcome, Kelsey. Tell us about your awesome organization.
Great. Thank you, Rebecca. I'm having one of your bags right behind me.
Yes. Oh, right. That's great.
Name it. I love it. I love it. Love it. I love how we divinely connected through South Dakota Connections about 6 months ago. And here we are. So thanks so much for having me on. I am over here recording in Colorado. I'm in a small town over here with my family in the mountains and love it. Just got sunny. So excited.
Yay.
And but yeah, I started a nonprofit called Rowan, and it was I registered it in about 2008. But the backstory is I always felt called to go to Africa and signed up to go back in 2002. And I went with an organization that just plopped me in the middle of nowhere in Eastern Uganda with a village pastor who'd never spoken English. And we were there for 6 weeks. So I left that time. I was 19 at the moment, but just walked away going, I want to give my life to this, whatever that looks like. And of course, you know, when you have a yes in your spirit for something, we have no idea how that will be fleshed out. Thank the good Lord, because if I had known, it would have been different. But it was one step, the 1% that you're talking about each and every day to activating that yes. And so it has been a lifelong journey. And the village region in Eastern Uganda where we work is like a second home to me. So our focus has always been, ROAN stands for Rural Orphans and Widows AIDS Network. And that's essentially who we are and what we do. We work with those affected with AIDS, widowed by AIDS, the children or orphaned by AIDS. And at that time, you know, it was just like the most deadly war, silent war, I think, going on across Africa. Still is to some degree. And so we just said yes to the most vulnerable and took it one step at a time. Started with 10 widows, 10 orphans under a tree, and just slowly grew what God wanted us to do and what we say yes to, what we say no to focus our yes, even in that moment. And so we primarily focus on helping sustain the widows through a beautiful legacy program. These women have never been to school in their lives, so just getting them literacy classes. We do trade schools with tailoring, which you would love. And I know you sponsor a widow who tailors, which is awesome.
Yes.
And so it's a 4-year program for them, from learning how to save to starting a business, caring for their farm, caring for their children, health. We have a clinic on site. And just help guide them through those 4 years. And then with the children, we help them with scholarships through school. And we've walked away and seen graduates of lawyers, medical degrees, radio announcers. It's just been so cool. So it's not a huge widespread organization, but it goes deep, and the impact is deep. And so that's what we're about. And that's what I've been doing and just called to say yes to.
So many thoughts and so many things. I particularly want to emphasize, everybody, that I love how you did missions. First of all, you said yes to a call of the spirit, which is sometimes, if we all admit it, is like, oh, okay, here I go. But can it be comfortable, God?
Yes,
right?
Yes.
You said yes, and you signed up. And then what I really want to emphasize is that you went over there, observed what's going on. and then decided you could help. And God decided, no, I'm going to use you, right? So God starts using you. And I love that your model wasn't like, okay, we're going to have everybody go to classes and we're going to teach everybody to read and write. And then we'll just build them up with encouragement and we're cheerlead, which is valid. But you were like, hit the ground with practical things, which is what I love to coach on, just the practical. And said, no, what does this woman need? And what does this woman need? And I think you may have touched on it, but I just know a little bit more of the background, is that the school is called the Legacy Program. And it really takes the woman from literacy and writing all the way to graduation. So she will have a certificate that signifies, I did this, I graduated. And then she will have a job in place because she has learned some sort of trade. And so the woman that I get to sponsor is a tailor, as Kelsey mentioned. And I love that because I'm literally sitting on my sewing machine right now. And we get to exchange these messages. So that's a whole nother part of Kelsey's thing, is that the organization allows you to communicate with whoever it is you sponsor. You guys, it's $38 a month, the version that I'm doing. There are other versions too. I think that's a 1%, if I dare say so myself. I think that's a 0.5%. And that they also take care of, like we would want, they take care of their children. They make sure you get the participants are fed, that they are well cared for, that they are educated, and that when they graduate, they will do something they have decided that they loved, and they'll build them with all the equipment behind it. So kudos to you right there for building such an amazing program that just makes me feel really good that someone is out there doing it. And I know you said like it's on a small scale. I think that's a large scale in God's book because everybody matters, right? And how many women did you say are there? 84?
There's 88 in the program for this course, this 4-year course.
So is it similar to a university where you'll have freshmen coming in, if you will, or like, how do you know when to put more?
We typically say yes to the 88 for the 4 years, and then we take on the next 88. It's more just effectiveness for us to focus on. I think if we grow as we grow, we could do that. But I think we're starting small. As Pastor Paul always says, who's the founder, and the reason why Rowan is thriving is because of the local leadership. He says, Kelsey, let's start with smoke and end in fire. We don't want to start with fire and end in smoke. So everything we do slow. And let me tell you, the US American in me is like, let's go, chop, chop. But I mean, I've learned they are really taking the lead on it and letting them do it in their timing. And it's 1,000% more effective that way.
That's a good message too. I also like that you were saying you have no's too. Like you said, this is what my yes is going to be, and these are some no's. Can you explain one of your no's that you were like, it sounds good, but not for us?
I'll give you an example. I mean, a lot of organizations come across this, and where a donor comes in and says, hey, I can donate a bunch of dental equipment to your ministry. And it sounds good, right? It's free equipment, there's interest, there's support, but we don't do dentistry work. So I have had to say no to that on one end. And on the other end, on the ground, there's so many needs. As you can imagine, we are in the most affected area of illiteracy and poverty. And there's so many things you can do to help. But focusing on the pillars of what we do it also gives us permission to say no to the other things of, no, we're not going to start a piggery, and a beehive would be great to do honey, but that's not what we're doing right now, and that's not our yes. But the beauty of networking is connecting. We connect with other organizations in the area. We have an organization that, kind of a program we started called Uganda Unite, where we unite other organizations together, learn the beauty of what other organizations are doing. So we don't reinvent the wheel. We can point people in different directions.
Oh, I love that. I mean, it speaks so much. I know you're in the nonprofit world, but it speaks so much to just the business world. Like, that's great, but that's not, and I wouldn't say business model because that's kind of an antiquated term in my world, just with the making and stuff, but that's wonderful. Let me direct you to who possibly could use your awesome dentist equipment, but it's not what we are doing. And again, I like that it's not the American approach where we're like, we're going to swoop in and we're going to save everybody because we're going to give them all this stuff, where it was like, wait, what about the ministry part of it? And what do they need? Like, can we listen first? So oh my gosh. Kelsey, first, before we go on, can you tell us where they would go if they do want to sponsor one of the 88?
Yes, there are still some that need sponsorship. Onto our website is our sponsors, everyone who needs a sponsor still. loverowan.org. And right there, you can sponsor, sign up for our newsletter, and just stay connected to what's going on in real time.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And you get letters from your sponsor.
Yes, it's all online. So, in the olden days, I'd say when I was growing up, God forbid I share you what age that is, but you would write letters back and forth to get them in the mail, and there's some significant beauty to that. And we still do that sometimes. Mm-hmm. But also the beauty of technology is you can email, attach photos of your family and send them to Irene. And then within a few weeks, hear back from her through our staff. So we were trying to make that pace a little faster, but that's about 3 to 4 weeks you should hear back from your sponsee.
That's awesome. I have sent my original with a picture of my family to her, and I've not checked to see if she's wrote back, but I think I'm right on the 3 or 4 weeks. So it's kind of like my dangling carrot, everybody, where I'm like, if I finish the stack of purses, then I can have to check if she wrote back.
Yes. And you will get an email saying you have a new message. So we'll check and make sure, but you'll get notified. So that'll be good.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So where do you see Ruan going? Like we talked a little bit about, like you'll nurture this 4 years, and then you'll get your next group of legacy. What are some of the threats in Uganda? Because from what I understand, and my world is a little bit small, Uganda is frequently in poverty and in war, correct?
Yeah, yes, in different ways. So Uganda's been known for its political upheavals, its overthrows by Idi Amin, child soldiers, armies in the north by the Lord's Resistance Army. There's a lot of different internal wars, civil wars, wars against Rwanda, challenges internally. And what's happened is Uganda is really beautiful, nutritious. The soil is amazingly rich. And it's really like the food basket for East Africa. Because if you think around Uganda, you've got Rwanda and Kenya and Tanzania and Sudan, and they're all very very dry, deserty places.
Okay.
And so Uganda is just like a food basket and a resource. It has the Nile River. It's gorgeous. And It's got mountains in the west. So it's really a beautiful place. But also, I hate to use the word, but it's getting raped of its nutrition, its nutrients, its beauty through all of these outside endeavors from other countries coming in and taking the minerals, the oil, the gold, the resource, and leaving the country worse than it was before. So that's what's unfortunately happening. And as we all can imagine, there's beautiful ways that can happen and still keep and restore the beauty of the land and the people, but that's not the agenda of outside. And so a lot of displaced people and a lot of challenges that way.
Okay. Now tell us a little bit, for you guys in particular, where your organization is located. There are some immediate threats. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Yeah. We are located in the east, so kind of almost close to Kenya border, east of Jinja, people know that. And so about a month and a half ago, we got word that we were, our region is in a direct threat, I would call it, to a mining company. This mining company is outside of Uganda, essentially funded by China to mine a certain mineral right under our feet. It's so crazy. Outside of China, this is the only place in Africa they found this mineral, which is we're right on top of. And so we found that out about a month and a half ago. This has been a long process, but finally coming to the surface as it's coming, they're wanting their mining license to mine. So we are exploring what this really looks like for us, what the real threats are. And that's why I'm taking a quick kind of emergency trip to Uganda on Sunday to meet with the mining companies, partner with other partners and nonprofits, NGOs, churches on the ground to see the best way forward, to not say no to mining, but to say yes to the respect and the dignity and to take care of all the people involved, because this would displace thousands and thousands of people and wipe our organization's infrastructure to the ground. So as overwhelming as it can be and has been for me, I will be honest, there have been moments when it was just so heavy to bear, and to think of that loss, to know that God is still good, and to go with that message and to anticipate his goodness as we meet key people and connect, and and remembering his promises that he's going to take care of his kids. So we are just going to say yes to him. And again, the 1% each day of the trip of who to meet, how to connect, and how we can protect our widows and orphans.
I just like, I need a minute. You said, talking in our pre-interview here just a little bit, thinking your school, your organization, your women, and you're actually saying, no, we're talking thousands will be displaced if this is mined.
Yeah, thousands.
And is it really if this is mined or when? And that's why the emergency trip, to figure out where are we going to go? What are we going to do? Where's God leading?
It's a really good question. It's a private mining company, and so they have protocols to do. But the government is behind it, so there's some sensitivity there of how to dance with these organizations and government to protect the people. So it's not a matter of if, it is when, and how. How are they're talking about resettling the people and making their lives better than they are now. Well, how? And keeping them accountable to that. Is kind of where we stand in the gap. Now, our founder, Pastor Paul, who's one of the most humble men you'll ever meet. I will write a book about him by the time, is right. I know it's coming. He's just so humble in his approach, but there's a community, him and others, that are standing in the gap saying no to signing certain documents and moving forward with the project until they know what it looks like for their future. And good enough, the community is spearheading it, as they should, and getting a voice. And I would say maybe several years ago that wouldn't be the case, but now with the ministry and their ownership of what they see God doing, they are standing up for themselves in a way I've never seen.
Wow.
So now we get to go support their effort. So it's not outsiders coming, to spearhead this thing. It is already in motion and on pause. So we're just going to go and support the effort of the people and hopefully be a microphone for their voice.
Gosh, what an awesome reversal.
Yeah.
That the community is going, wait, let's stand together and stay united. And they couldn't be spearheaded by someone better than Pastor Paul, like you have said.
Oh, it's amazing. And so beautiful organizations have come to support us, give us legal support, and standing with us in ways that we don't have lawyers on the ground personally, but God is making amazing connections. So we're going and I'm working and praying through what that looks like for us on this side to take action to support their efforts and protect them and not make it harder for them, if that makes sense. So it is a delicate thing also.
Yeah. You don't want to just bulldoze them. So tell us, Kelsey, is there a call to action, if you will, that we can do here to help support your effort down there?
Yeah, good question. That's what I've been praying to the Lord for several weeks. I think as this trip, I want to call it an exploratory trip to go and really get wisdom from him and who's connecting with us and what's really happening. So, but what I would ask everyone to do is to join our social media, as I will give real-time updates on what's going on and real-time daily prayer points on how to pray and fast and be with us, because we are going to need it. So it's less right now of any outside action until I go and really see what is the most effective for us and the voice from outside, because we want to protect the people most. So, but for us to stand with us, to know that we're being prayed for, to know that we're covered with all of your support and prayers. Follow, I think, our Instagram. We'll do a lot of Instagram and Facebook then lives and stuff over there to update you guys on what's going on.
Oh, perfect. Okay. And you guys will provide all the links and everything so that you can definitely check out all the channels, Instagram, Facebook. And like you said, we will stand united in what the effort that Kelsey and Pastor Paul will decide what is wisdom from God and what to do over there. And I can't wait to do the follow-up video, which will be like, this is what happened, you guys. And we couldn't have anticipated it.
Yes. And I want to speak to, because I want to share this video with our supporters. This is probably the first time many supporters have heard of what's happening. And just want to encourage everyone who is supported and has supported us for so many years, keep supporting us. We need support now than ever. If any destruction comes as on their timeline, it would be 10 years from now. We're on their mining map in terms of destruction of buildings. What they need are signatures now for permission from us. So that's what we're working toward and what compensation would look like. It's a lot, but so it wouldn't happen overnight. But what we need now is support more than ever. If you've ever thought about sponsoring, join our sponsorship program now more than ever, because we are for the people. Where the people are and their challenges, we are there. We are not a building. So our ministry has always been about the people, and now more than ever, we need to support them in that.
Oh my gosh. I just had a thought too, is like, what if in the sponsorships that we're currently doing, your gal decides I'm going to be an attorney, like I'm going to fight for 10 years, or she gets this surge in her belly where she's like, no, enough. So that's what stops my heart a little bit, is like, whatever we can do here, if that sponsorship's following the social media, and like you said, prayer and fasting is enough. If God is for us, who can be against us? Like, so just to have this army standing behind you, I can't wait to be a part of it. Jeez, that would be.
Yeah. Yes. And my friend is coming. She's a videographer and photographer. We'll capture it all. And I can't wait for all the God stories when we return. And oh my gosh, you're not going to believe this moments. We're going to have so many, and we're going to capture them all. So we're so excited to share that with you.
So Kelsey, let's follow up. I think you told me you're going to get home late May. So like mid-June, when you've collected your thoughts and done the really important things by contacting everybody, let's follow up and find out some of these amazing stories. And let's fill in these sponsorships as much as possible, everybody. Like get a woman on board, get her sponsored so she can get her education. She can fight whenever she needs to.
Yes. That
maybe fight isn't even the word, because maybe they're tired of fight. Maybe it's just advocate for what she knows her country needs in this beautiful fruit basket, I think is what you called it, which I adore. That's such a great word. Like, and thank you too for the geography lesson about like, okay, what's around us, so that it really frames up for me what you're up against.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Feels like a big thing against, but God is so much bigger. And
yes,
when you say yes and he uses my little life in some way, it's as overwhelming as it can be. It's also a privilege, because I know he chooses to use us for his work. And so we're like, okay, yes, let's do this, and have we've been there so long. It just feels like family. And I know there's favor over his kids. So we're there for a reason. So
yeah. And everybody just picture quickly, Kelsey's arms up when she gets to Uganda, and she is like arms wide open, arms are up. She's trying to absorb all the information that she possibly can to just aid this country and to aid all these amazing women. And her hands are tired, because you are also going to be dealing with like how fast this movement will happen, if it does, or when it does, and all those things. So remember the story in the Bible where Moses needs help. Like, we are the ones that are going to be able to hold Kelsey's hands up in prayer and fasting. And so that has got to be our visual, you guys, is like, let's hold up Kelsey's hands and Amber's hands as she's over there in this country. So,
and just to finish off that amazing story, the definition of faith in the Hebrew in that moment is not the definition of faith of Moses holding his hands up. It's the definition of the two guys next to him holding up his hands in support of the promise of God. That is the real definition of faith, is in supporting God's promises. So in you saying that, that's exactly right. You're exercising faith with us and for us.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, everyone, check out our links so that we can follow Rwan and whatever the journey forward is. Thank you, Kelsey, for your time today. Can't wait to follow up.
Thank you, Rebecca.